Here we go again.
Sucker punch somebody on the sidewalk. Carjacking old lady at a red light. Pull a gun on the owner of a liquor store. You think it's cool, act a fool if you like. Cuss out a cop, spit in his face. Stomp on the flag and light it up. Yeah, you think you're tough. Well, try that in a small town. See how far you make it down the road. Around here we take care of our own. You cross that line, it won't take long for you to find out. I recommend you don't. Try that in a small town. Got a gun that my granddad gave me. They say one day they're gonna round.
All right. I gotta find it here, because I think Liverpool is in what state? I think Liverpool is Ohio. Pretty sure it's Ohio. East Liverpool, Ohio. Okay, is across the bridge. This is where I was at today. Newell, that's right. Newell, West Virginia. That's it. Newell and Liverpool. I was there today. I was in a small town called Midland, Pennsylvania, which led you right to the bridge. When you get it to the end of Midland, it's a small town, very nice small town. At one end of Pennsylvania that leads into Ohio from another angle. Okay. I've driven all the way into Ohio from Ippisburg, Pennsylvania. You can get into Ohio several ways from Pennsylvania. It's going from Pennsylvania to Ohio is just a matter of getting around a number of three rivers, I think. And like I told you, we have West Virginia. I told you in the last video about how we have West Virginia and Ohio up here. And I think the town that I was in, what they call it, Newell, West Virginia, I think is a small town. My point is, I've been to several small towns. I went to a casino today, did an Uber trip. I started off in Beaver, Pennsylvania. I ended up going to the airport, which I kept driving and ended me up in Beaver, which took me to a place up in Pennsylvania. I forget what the name of it was. I picked the guy up, but I ended up taking him to West Virginia, which wasn't far. It was about like a 40-minute trip. From there, I took this man to West Virginia, and when I got to West Virginia, this is the first time I ever been to Newell, West Virginia. I have been there before, but I didn't even know I was in West Virginia when I was there, because you make a left and you're right back in Pennsylvania. Same thing with Ohio. You make a right, you're right back in Pennsylvania. Okay, and so like a lot of white people say, it's not about the area. It's about the land. Okay. I listened to the clip of Candace Owens talking about this guy here. What is his name? Jason Aldean. He reminds me of that video we did with Adam Calhoun. Remember that Adam Calhoun racism video? Was it racism? Yeah, it was called racism, I think. I'm going to go beyond what Candace Owens said and what other people are saying. And I'm going to say it like this. Whether you're white or black, if you come into a small town, you've been doing crime all your life, and you come into a small town, and you try that mess in a small town, you should be lynched. You bring that BLM riot garbage into this neighborhood, you should be lynched. Okay? And they're not going to say that, but I'm going to say it for you. And yes, that includes black people. The problem is that even though Aldean was honest, he wasn't honest enough. Because in 90%, yeah, they are talking about black people. Let's not cover it up. Who's rioting here in the streets of Pittsburgh, Philadelphia, Chicago, Detroit, Oregon, what is it? What's the city in Oregon that, okay? All these inner cities, Los Angeles. And now they're even bringing it up into Hollywood. Violence and homelessness and all this stuff. And people attacking, now they done got to the point where they're attacking Hollywood characters and stuff. Who's doing this? Who's doing it? It ain't the white mob. It ain't the KKK. Who's doing it? It's black folks that are doing it. Black folks will go into a small town that belongs to white people, where there is no blacks, and cause some crap there. They did it all the way back in the day. I mean, sure, Emmett Till didn't deserve what happened to him. But in a place where nobody liked him, in a place where people feared him and people didn't want him around, he decided to get pretty with some white girl. And her boyfriend and his gang lynched him for it. Now today, you get a lot of black men to lie and say that they hate white women. But back then, black men, coming right out of slavery were very honest. Oh, I love white women. That man, like what's his name? Jamie Foxx said in that one movie. He says, man, I love me a good black woman, but these white women, goddamn these white women. And it's still true today. The only difference is a lot of black men will lie and say that they hate white women. Okay, because there's so much racism going on. But back in the day, you were more honest about it. And it's not about liking white women, but, liking certain white women. Certain white women are universally pretty. That's every woman. There's black women that are universally pretty. Asian women, African women, Spanish women, you name it. There's all kinds of women that are women of every race that are universally pretty. Okay? Your beauty can a lot of times free you from slavery above everybody else. Get you a job better than, faster and quicker than everybody else. Beauty does that, okay? And there's black women that got that beauty. There's black women that skipped a lot of black crap because of their beauty. Okay? But my point is, who's doing the crime in these white neighborhoods? Now, I went to church camp in a small town. All you Pennsylvanians, you know about Somerset, Bedford, okay? Camp Hill, you know about those areas that at one time They were, you know, considered lynch areas. They were considered sundown cities. Bedford, Somerset, Breezewood, a lot of cities that I look up to today were once sundown cities. At least that's what they were calling them. Okay? But this is the thing though. Did lynching black people in a small town help the town? Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Yes, it did. Now, there were some lynchings that were unnecessary. There were some lynchings that were unnecessary. Some lynchings were just simply because they didn't want you in the town. When you got sent to that town, because that's where your credentials sent you, they didn't want you in there. They told you to move, or they told you to, you know, sell your farm, or sell your business, or sell your house, or whatever, you got lynched because they simply didn't want you in there. But there's more to burning crosses in people's yards than the fact that you're black. Usually, these people open their mouths, and that's how they got in trouble with white folks, by opening up their mouths and saying things they shouldn't say. Okay? But yes, there was some lynching that wasn't supposed to go on, but there was lynching that I'm glad they did the lynching. Because when you decide that your way of living in a predominantly white neighborhood or a predominantly black neighborhood is all about you hurting people for the heck of it, raping and stealing and beating people up and robbing, and well, that all goes together. Just doing crime. You didn't learn your lesson until you got lynched. Or your partners, the people that did it with you, that was following behind you, they got the message when you got lynched and killed. Okay? And there are cases where lynching, even right here near Pittsburgh, lynching did save the town. Whether it was white people or whether it was black people. Now, the song, people are saying, well, the song is not saying anything racist. No, it's not saying anything racist. It's saying what's true and real. But the thing is, if you think for 1 minute that he means majority white, when he says try that in a small town, he ain't talking to white people. I agree with you, Candace. I agree with you, Brandon. But he ain't talking to white people. He talking to black folks when he say, try that in a small town. If he talking to white people, what's he talking to? 1%? He's talking about people coming to his small town and doing that mess that they do, I don't know, here in Pittsburgh, in Philadelphia, in Chicago. Try that mess in a small town. And you know what? I'm like Candace Owen. I'm tired of these inner cities. And I'm getting out of these inner cities. And I was just telling, I did a lot of Uber trips today. And when I would talk to people about their neighborhood, and all like that, and they talk to me about their small town or whatever, I tell them, yeah, I'm moving. I told them about the small town I'm moving to, and they let me know that's a good town. And at one time in history, and it was a while ago, because they were at least 2% black. Even back in the days when I was a youngster, they had to be 2% black out there. But most of the black people I talked to in this town that I'm relocating to pretty soon. I got to work on my money and get my money together, but then I'm relocating. This town that I'm relocating to, the black people, all the black people there, have only lived there for like 10 years or less. That's it. About like 10 years or less. Okay? Before that, I remember back in the Cam days, that was a white town. Back in the early '80s, that was a white town, just like all the rest of them here in Pennsylvania too. Pennsylvania used to be a white state at one time, a white state. The black folks that came up here were the aftermath of people that went to New York and New Jersey, and that, black people that fled to New York and New Jersey and that. Okay, this was the aftermath of that. And a lot of them people came up here because they were doing crime and they wanted to hide it up here in Pennsylvania. This is why Pennsylvania to this day is such a bad place when it comes to crime in these inner cities, because people fled here to Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, Allentown, and even some of these states, some of these cities that they're cleaning up. They fled here because they were criminals to begin with. That's why they ended up here. I talk to people all the time that let me know they were from the other states and they was going through. I used to have a friend of mine. I used to babysit his kid. He was from Detroit. And when he moved here, he had a police record this long. And he was in a gang, and he said he had to get out of the gang, but he had a police record this long. He just had to get out of Detroit. Okay? That's why Pittsburgh, Philadelphia has always had issues with crime, because people fled here. Career criminals fled here to continue doing crime. Okay? But I'm relocating to a small town. Okay? And it's probably about 2% black. Okay? And the blacks, they're happy. They're happy to be good blacks. They're happy not to be in Pittsburgh or Philadelphia where rioting is going on and the whole BLM thing going on and all the, And when I'm talking about Democrats are glad to be away from democratic cities. What I'm saying. And these people fled from Philadelphia and they fled from Pittsburgh. Like I'm fleeing from Pittsburgh. Why? Because they are fleeing there to get away from crime that's already being done in this part of the state. Okay? So there's no way that Aldean ain't talking about black folks when he says, try that crap in a small town. Because white people, there might be 1%. In some places 2% to do that crap. But usually it's black folks. Black folks, he passed away, our buddy, what was his name? What was his name? I forget his name. Colin Flaherty. My man Colin. He's dead and gone now, but he proved. He went through some of the most whitest, smallest towns in America and proved that crime in those towns was majority black. So, I watched The View, and I watched Candace Owens talk about all the critics that she's getting emails from. Okay? And I watch all these different celebrities in that talk about this Aldean video. The fact remains, though. Yes, he is not only talking to white people, which may only be 1%, but he's talking to 5-10% black people too. Try that mess in a small town. See how far you get down, okay, before we take you out. Try that mess in a small town. See what happens to you. Okay? And that's the truth. And America belongs to the law-abiding citizens. Once we all start obeying the law and being law-abiding citizens and being crime-free and being, racist-free and all that stuff, coming from all the sides, not just white people, black folks too, they just as racist. Okay? Once we get all that out of the way, then we can fuss about what he really means in the song. But we know what he really means in the song. And we don't need to cover it up and cover him up. The fact remains that if you're talking about crime, bringing crime from the inner city to the small city, you're talking to black folks. Because white folks, when they suffer and they go through things, going back to that small town is the thing that will clean them up, that will make them come to their senses. Black folks just see something to rob and somebody to hurt. They looking for a victim. Now you say, what black people are you talking about? I'm talking about thugs. But if you're not a thug, quit defending those that are thugs. If you're not a thug, quit defending those that get in trouble for doing thug type of work. And this is how this guy writes his song. You can't tell me he wasn't thinking about a lot of black people when he wrote the song. But I like the song. It has a great message to it. And if you don't know how to behave yourself and keep your hands to yourself and keep your gun holstered in under your belt or whatever, if you don't know how to mind your own business, maybe you should be lynched. And that goes for white people as well as black people. Maybe you should be lynched. Okay? And that's why I'm moving to a small town. I'm relocating to a small town. Because like Candace Owens, I'm sick and tired of crap that goes on in the inner cities. Any inner city. Pittsburgh is the most mellow. Everybody tells me all the rest of them are worse. I believe that. That's why I'm not leaving Pennsylvania. Because whatever happens in Pennsylvania is not going to end up as worse as it is happening in all these other bigger states and bigger cities. So, God bless you, D. Recruit, your Life Applications Officer. Thank you for watching. Talk to you later.